The iPhone 16 going on sale this Friday. Our next guest has a new Apple note out. He expects iPhone revenue to grow 15% in fiscal 2025 and 17% in 2026. Both those numbers are well above street consensus. Joining us right now, Gene Munster, Deepwater Asset Management managing partner. Good morning to you. You think a supercycle is upon us? We've been having a debate even inside the Sorkin family household about whether everybody needs these new phones or not. Of course, I want it for the battery, and I just like the new stuff. But it's unclear to me, and maybe, Gene, you can speak to this, whether all of the new AI features are, when they get rolled out and how quickly they get rolled out and which phones you need to have them and what that does to the supercycle, if there is one.
The timing on these AI features, Andrew, undoubtedly are going to impact how investors should think about the growth rates, and they are going to take 6 months to roll out. The shares of Apple are down 2.5% in the pre-market today on commentary that the rollout for the first few days is muted. And I've been following a lot of these iPhone upgrade releases, these upgrade weekends, and typically you can use a box office approach to an iPhone upgrade cycle. Basically, looking at lead times of the first few days can generally get you a sense in terms of what that cycle is going to look like. This time, of course, it's different given some of the comments that you had, the timing on when these AI features come into play. At the end of the day is that there is a lot of talk around AI. There's actually not a lot of usage of it. And ultimately that consumers need to use these features to get excited. I think that's going to happen. I just want to put a finer point on this. A lot of talk and not a lot of usage. OpenAI now has given the number of their weekly subscribers, their users, it is 200 million. That puts the dailies probably somewhere around 75 to 100 million. Facebook, Google have 3 billion plus dailies across their properties. There's a lot of talk of AI. There hasn't been much usage. I think when consumers actually get a hold of these features, you're going to see a significant increase in that. And just want to quickly, you gave some pretty aggressive, you pointed out my aggressive numbers in terms of what iPhone's going to grow. It doesn't take much to get there. We can walk through what those are, but I think that this is that 15% versus the street at 7 is most achievable.
So, but here, I think the question is, talking about a movie box office kind of weekend opening, whether we could have a muted opening this weekend, if you will, coming up when it does physically get released, and then whether there's almost a second bite at the apple come Christmas time or maybe even to sometime in 2025 when more of the AI features get effectively released into the operating system and more people start talking about how they're able to actually do things that they can't do right now.
Yeah, undoubtedly, this is a different cycle than they've ever had because the software is the lead feature. Typically, of course, it's hardware. Hardware is something that people can see, they can understand before they even own the phone. And in the case of these features, it's conceptual for most people. And so I think that reality, this is the most important feature, is the software, and it's still conceptual, I think underlines why this is going to take some time to move forward. And I would kind of think of this, these features, the rollout, just beyond the 6-month timing. There'll be some basic generative features initially, easier to use your phone, and then ultimately we're going to move to more visual AI with the camera, and then agentic AI. And so I think that's a 6-12 month kind of a window ultimately.
Gene, how far behind do you think that Apple is as it relates to Alphabet and Google, given the Pixel phone and some of the AI that's already incorporated into Android?
On a feature-to-feature basis, they're probably about 6 months to a year behind. When it comes to doing something unique, being able to take their data, consumers' data, and get insights around it, I would say they have the lead. But if you're looking at kind of just the bits and bytes of it, they're behind. Apple's been behind on AI, and this is part of their catch-up.